What is up, Maniacs? I am Zach, and I am the Milly Maker Maniac. Welcome to my last draft in Best Ball Mania this year. This is it. This is our 150th entry into this tournament. Obviously, one of those is the $2 million winner. It might be this one that we're about to build right now. We will be building out of the fourth pick today. So we'll be looking in the range of really the top four that are there in ADP. Ja'Marr Chase, Bijan Robinson, CeeDee Lamb, or Jahmyr Gibbs would be how I would pick it. So we'll just see which of those four is available at that pick, and then we will decide how we'll build this team from there. Feeling a Jahmyr Gibbs build, so wouldn't mind if that's how it falls. Have really those top guys are my most rostered first rounders besides Christian McCaffrey. So I've got a lot of lineups in this built with Chase. I'm right at the 8%. Just basically when I pick one, I take Ja'Marr Chase. I've got him a couple times at 2, but very rare. And then I was taking CeeDee Lamb ahead of Justin Jefferson all off season. He's moved up in ADP quite a bit. So I have a lot of him earlier in the season, but I haven't got a ton of him recently. But now we are going to be building with Jahmyr Gibbs, building a Lions build here. We're going to go ahead and stack our Lions, put them in the queue so we can build a Lions stack. This is also what I ended up doing in my $555 draft, which you can also check out on my channel. Did one entry into the $555 5 millionaire monster on DraftKings. We ended up building an Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams stack, but we did get sniped on Jared Goff, which was not ideal, but we still built a solid lineup there. So we'll look at stacking that Week 17 game against the Vikings once again in this draft. I think that's a fun game to target. A lot of really good fantasy assets in those games. It'd be really dope to get a Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown lineup, but that's not going to happen. I doubt that there are any drafts with both of those guys in it. If they do have it, that is a huge leverage point on the field. That's definitely a nice combination that little to no people have and is likely to go off in the playoffs. Let's go ahead and look at who both these teams play in the playoff stretch. This is the Lions. They play the Rams in LA. They play the Steelers, which isn't a great matchup, but they are at home. And then they play the Vikings in Week 17 in Minnesota, but in a dome, so expect that to be a higher scoring game. Their total rank as far as their playoff games totals is 5th in the league, and their team total is also 5th. So they are the 5th overall best playoff schedule based on the current odds on those games, the current totals in those games. So like that as a solid, if we get to the playoffs as a team that's likely to go off and score a lot of points. So we got, obviously we have a running back here. There's really nobody in this range that we would want to pull up to stack with. So we'll be going with someone else. So we could go wide receiver here. A.J. Brown has been dropping a decent amount. He's got a hamstring injury. He went there, so we're not going to go there. So Chase Brown is the one that jumps out at me. I would love to get T. Higgins if he comes back around, but we're going to go ahead and go Chase Brown for now. If we get Higgins, which is unlikely, more than likely the Ja'Marr Chase owner here at 212 and 3-1 will likely take T. Higgins. But if he falls to us, we could build a nice little Bengal stack as well. But if not, we just have a robust running back start here. Yep, so there goes T and there goes McBride. So that's a very classic stack. If that stack goes off in Week 17, basically you had to win in best ball. You had to have the 1v1 pick because there's going to be a ton of Ja'Marr Chase, T. Higgins, and Trey McBride lineups. All right, so with our next pick, let's see how far is it till our next JMO? So JMO should fall to us, so we want to take somebody else here. Let's go Jackson Smith and Jigba. Go ahead and get him pulled up here. I don't have a ton of him. I want to get a little bit more of him. They cut Valdez-Scantling today. Not that he was really going to be preventing Smith and Jigba from getting a lot of touches, but I think that I'm a little low on the Seahawks. They looked really good in the preseason. Sam Darnold did throw 35 touchdowns last year. You can't just ignore that. Obviously, he was in a good situation, but he showed that he's a competent NFL quarterback. So we don't want to completely discount that. Seattle has a nice, decent playoff run. Let's go into their page over here on my spreadsheet. So they don't have the greatest point total, but a big part of that is Vegas is low on them in general. So they're not going to have as many points as a team that they think is going to be have a high win total. But they are favored in 2 of these games. They're favored against the Colts, which is in Indianapolis, which is obviously in a dome. So that's an attractive game. I think that's one that could go off the Colts. I don't think are going to have a great defense this year. So that is not a scary matchup. And then they play in LA, which is also not a scary matchup. It could be a shootout, as they're probably both going to be in playoff contention. And then they play Carolina, who last year was one of the worst defenses in the history of the league. I don't want to completely fade them. I know their points are low when we look at their ranking as far as game total and team total. Team total is not too bad, about middle of the pack, actually. But it gives us a late stack option with Darnold, and I don't have much of him, so could be a Week 17 boom game that nobody saw coming, like last year's Drew Lock. So we'll open ourselves up to that. Definitely want to go Jamison Williams here if he falls. Hopefully he does. If he doesn't go, if Cook or McLaurin were there, would definitely take either or of them. Would also be open to Jalen Hurts too. So McLaurin went. JMO is definitely the preferred pick here, but I will adjust if needed. One more guy here. Let's go. Let's get JMO. Get that nice Lions stack to end our best ball season. Let's go. JMO fell. James Cook is definitely enticing there. It would give me a really solid running back room, but I like the Detroit stack. Let me show you why after. I'll show you after we make our next pick. So from a stack standpoint, let's get the Seahawks pulled up. We could go Kenneth Walker here, actually. That'd be very interesting. Let's if he's there, I think that would be our pick. I don't have a ton of him, but I like that stack. So let's see if it falls. Yeah, Burrow went to added to the Bengals stack. So that's likely going to be a strong team. But there's nothing we can do there. So we didn't get Walker. Would have been nice, but that's okay. In here, we got Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, Travis Hunter, who we are choosing between. We could also get Chuba to get that comeback. Actually, let's go Chuba. Really strong running back room, and that gets us a comeback against Seattle in Week 17. So we're going to have, I haven't built many robust running back rooms this draft season. I've primarily gone hero RB or zero RB. Just think that wide receiver, there's a huge cliff after pick 100. I'd much rather be chasing running back than wide receiver down the stretch. But that's not how we're going to play this one. So really like our Lions stack. I like our game correlation between Chuba Hubbard and Jackson Smith and Jigba, and we can stack both of these guys later with Torrey Horton. We can try to get Laporta and Tesla to add to the Lions stack. But like how this is building out so far. Just wanted to make sure we recorded. Good to go there. Definitely would want to take Addison with my next pick. Yeah, we don't need to go running back for a long time, so we'll just go ahead and we'll leave him on there for now, but very unlikely that we're going to go Montgomery, Jones, or Mason. Just because we're so strong in the running back room, we need to add pass catchers. So I'm open to, I would love to go Addison and Laporta or Addison and Hawkinson. And then gives me another option for McCarthy as another stacked quarterback. Definitely open to that outcome. Rashee Rice got suspended today. We've known that's been going to happen the whole time. We just didn't know the timing of it. So he's fallen a little bit, but he goes there. I actually, even with him being healthy and knowing his circumstances, I am much lower on the Chiefs than most this year. I just think their defense is still going to be solid, so they're not going to have a lot of shootout games. Week 17, they play the Broncos, and they should have a good defense. I think that'll be much more of like a slug match than a back and forth high-scoring game. So I've been avoiding the Chiefs. If the Chiefs are the team in Week 17 or throughout the whole year, if Mahomes returns to QB1 status, I'm probably not having a great best ball season. But they're really my biggest fade of the season. So where I picked, I'm going to go ahead and pull up Addison here just because I want that game stack. I actually think I want to go ahead and get Laporta as well. And if I don't get Laporta, we might just go ahead and pull up Hawkinson. But I want to have many pieces from that game. Addison is a guy that can go off. And I forgot to do it last time, but I will pull up my correlation chart to show you both how the Vikings and the Lions had some key weeks that were huge for best ball last year. So I want to pursue those stacks. So we'll go ahead and take Montgomery off here. We're not taking Montgomery. Other pieces in this range that I feel like I'd be missing out on. A lot of questions throughout that whole area. Again, super solid at running back. Now we need to add some pieces in the pass catching game. We'll go Laporta here. If he falls, hopefully he does. He does. So we got a really strong Lions stack. And we will go wide receiver. And then we will look at our quarterback. So we got Goff and McCarthy at 119 and 125, single stacked. We also have options of Sam Darnold late, and we'll go ahead and get the Panthers queued up as well. We can take Bryce Young late and Adam Thielen, Xavier Leggett. I'm just not going to click Thielen. We're not going to take Dowdle because we got Chuba Hubbard. But Jalen Coker, I think, is primed for a breakout. And the way things are falling, it sounds like that is a lot more likely now with the possibility of Thielen going over to Minnesota. I guess we actually we could add Thielen here because regardless, he would be on one of the two teams. Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad late addition. I'm sure he's going to fall a little bit, which is interesting because he's probably going to go to a better situation. But yeah, we'll keep that in mind here. So our next picks are 93 and 100 and 117. So what I am deciding here, so I'm not going to take Kupp. I think he's washed. I think his better days are behind him. I think there's a very good chance he's not around in week 17. Just an older receiver that's been injury prone. So he's not how I've been allocating my resources in that range. But Charbonnet very much could be around in week 17, and that's a great matchup. If Kenneth Walker goes down, which again, he's also injury prone, if he were to go down, I think Charbonnet is the one that would step in and be the guy. Going to make us weak at receiver, but I like some of the late stack options we have here. So we can go kind of wide receiver light, but go good chunks of teams and be a running back heavy lineup where we're probably going to have a running back in the flex most weeks. So that's the path we're going to take. If Charbonnet gets here, we'll take him, and then we will take Goff. We'll pull Goff up early, but we don't want to miss him on this stack. So we're not going to take the risk, and then we'll take McCarthy next. It's tempting to try to let both of them fall. Maybe we should. Yeah. We'll go Charbonnet first. And then I think we'll actually go a wide receiver here. So we could almost shut it down at running back. Maybe one more late guy, but that's a really strong room. Not a lot of like studs in this range at receiver. Man, I basically have no Cooper Kupp. Maybe I talked myself into him. Mooney's hurt right now, but I think he's expected to. Yeah, he's not going on IR. So that's a good sign that he's not going to miss extended time. So there goes Mooney. Yeah, wide receiver in this range just starts to get gross. Kirk is a guy we might target. I feel like Torrey Horton's going to be the guy more than Kupp. So I'm not going to take the bait. I'm gonna pass on Cooper Kupp. We'll go a little weaker wide receiver. We'll just make sure we get our stack with Goff. And let me show you what I'm talking about. We go to correlation chart. Let's look at the playoffs last year, the best ball playoffs. In week 15. Well, week 14, he was QB6, but week 15, QB2. His running back, who's on our team, was wide receiver or running back 2. Amon-Ra St. Brown was wide receiver 2, and we don't have him. It's impossible to get Gibbs and Amon-Ra on the same team, basically. But we had, Jahmyr or Jameson Williams. I don't see him on here. So we would add a down week there, but we have Laporta. Laporta's tied in 3. So there's a week where we're very likely to advance because we had 3 guys in the top 5 there. Then the next week, Goff is QB3. Gibbs is running back 7. J-Mo is wide receiver 4, and Laporta is tight end 6. That is solid. It's a solid outcome. They played the Eagles that week. Let's see how the Eagles did. They had running back 5 and wide receiver 8. So game stack there, just proving our theory about game stacks. And then he had a big drop off in week 17. Still top 10. Quarterback 9. Jahmyr Gibbs was running back 2. Let's see. We have J-Mo was wide receiver 10. So they didn't have the week we needed to win. Sam Laporta was tight end 7. But they had a solid week and one that we would have been very, very solidly into the nice prize money in week 17. So that's why we do stacks, because we're betting on an offense to get hot for 3 games rather than an individual player. It's a lot more gimmicky for one player to go 3 straight games with boom games, but it's not that crazy for a team to do it. And if we have multiple pieces of that team, we give ourselves a better chance of having the appropriate combination to hit those boom weeks. And we have to hit 4 boom weeks in a row to win that $2 million, right? To get to week 15, we have to finish top 2 for the season. So that's a season-long thing. And this also gives us season-long strength because we're getting multiple pieces of a very strong offense that are likely to score a lot of fantasy points, meaning we'll have a lot of good weeks from our players and a good offense. But to get to week 15, we have to finish top 2. If we finish top 2, then we're in to week 15. We have to beat 12 people. So we have to have a boom week then, and we have to do the same thing in week 16. And then week 17, we have to beat 1,000 people to get to 2 million. All right, so we're on the clock here. We're going McCarthy. Lock up another nice stack. Probably go Marvin Mims if he falls here. Or Ayuk or Allen. These are guys that late in this. Bateman could have big weeks too, so We'll get all these guys up here. So we don't have any stacks with these guys, obviously. Mims, it would be my first pick out of this. Ayuk is sounding promising that he's going to come back this year, but I don't know how good he's going to be down the stretch. So he's not a bet that I've been making much of. We don't have to worry about it here. Yeah, so we'll just go Mims here. I think he's just a guy that can have a lot of boom weeks. The biggest issue that people have had with him is his snap count, because he lines up at running back a lot and doesn't run that many routes. But he's an explosive player. Seems like Sean Payton wants to scheme up specific plays for him. So I think he's going to have a lot of boom weeks throughout the season. So he is a type of player that I'm not expecting consistency from, but I want to go ahead and give myself a shot at the boom games. I think he'll probably have 4 or 5 boom games this year. And hopefully 1 or 2 of those come in the playoffs, and he's a big reason why I advance or why I win the $2 million. So again, we're really strong at running back. We got 2 solid stacks. We have a skinny stack with McCarthy. We'll try to add another piece, maybe Naylor or Thielen. If Thielen end up getting traded, we can add those guys late. Definitely want to get Torrey Horton. Kind of leaning more towards going the Sam Darnold route rather than Bryce Young, just because we have his top pass catcher, and I think we'll be able to get Torrey Horton here as well. So even though Young is ranked higher, I think for this build, it fits better for Darnold than it does for Bryce Young. And if a scenario plays out where Seattle's in it, say they're a 9-win team going into week 17, that means that Darnold's had at least a decent season, and he can be in a position to have a really nice matchup. If they're in playoff contention, that they're going to leave it all out on the field and be aggressive. And so they could have that big week in week 17, even if they don't have a huge year all year long, but they do enough to be in it at the end. It's a team that I think could go on a run in the best ball playoffs. And I think Charbonnet and Jackson Smith and Jigba are both pieces that are likely to go off. And it's not out of the realm of possibilities that Darnold has that 3 or 4 touchdown game kind of out of nowhere. And if that's the case, I think if we get Torrey Horton, especially, that we have a lineup that is going to just go off if that scenario plays out. So we're pick 140. Let's see if there's anybody in here that I feel like I need, or should we just go ahead and reach for our stack? Nobody jumping off. Tyler Algier is worth consideration for sure. Dante Thornton drops a little bit due to the signing of Amari Cooper. I think he still has plenty of upside, but I really would just rather go with the stacks here. So I think we're going to take Bryce Young off. Might go Algier and just be done at running back and then go. Let's see. So we have pick 141, 148, 165, and 172. So we could theoretically take 3 players before we take Sam Darnold based on ADP. So I do think I will go. I do think I'll just go Algier here. Then I'll go Torrey Horton. And if Leggett or Thielen fall, we'll take them, and then we'll take Darnold. I definitely want to get Coker. So he would be in my next chunk of picks. He's just a good comeback against the Seahawks there. This is a game that I don't think a lot of people are going to be building around. I definitely haven't been building around the Seahawks and Carolina game much throughout the season, but it is a sneaky one. So I definitely want to have a lineup where both of those teams have success and they meet for a shootout in week 17. Oh, Coker got pulled up. Guess that dream is dead. We will take Horton here, though, so we weren't the only ones looking to reach. With the news that Thielen's likely to be traded, Coker's going to jump up. So we'll go ahead and take Thielen if he gets back to us. I just think that he fits his team either way, if he's a Viking or if he is a Panther. I haven't done many double stacks with the Seahawks. It just would be a triple stack if we get Darnold. But I like it. Like I said, I think it's not the most likely outcome, but if they are in playoff contention, all these guys should have decent years, especially if Charbonnet is one with a ton of upside. If I think he'll be in play even without an injury to Walker, but if Walker goes down, Charbonnet, he was an absolute stud in games where he was running back one for them. Torrey Horton, there's just been a ton of buzz in camp. They release MVDS, so it's an indication that they trust him, and he's going to be starting right out of the gates at outside receiver. When Jackson Smith and Jigba and Kupp, I think, are going to mix it up on the inside. So yeah, this is a good-looking lineup. Good-looking lineup. We'll see how it falls as we finish out here. Good at running back. I probably won't take any more running backs. We'll probably go an extra wide receiver, so we'll get 7 total wide receivers. We need to add tight ends. We're getting kind of late on that, but we do have a just below tight end elite build. Laporta is, I don't think he has really tight end one upside. I think it's going to be one of the top 3 guys that is tight end one. He obviously has been tight end one in the past, but I don't think that is his current ceiling with the other talent that's in the league now. But he's going to be, I think, a top 5 tight end, and we can count on him most weeks to at least hit our lineup, so we don't got to stretch too far at tight end. So Legette's still on the board. He's an interesting one. We really only get to take either Legette or Thielen. I actually have more trust in Thielen. Although Legette can have some big games, but either outcome for Thielen, I think, fits this lineup well. And if he's healthy, which is a big question at his age, but if he is healthy, just hard to see where he's not a substantial piece of the offense, where he's getting, 5 to 7 targets a game. And those 5 to 7 targets could turn into a random boom game in the playoffs that would hit at least one of our quarterbacks. Interesting scenario to have the opportunity for a dual stack here. Either outcome with Thielen could work in our favor. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do if he falls here. And then we will take Legette. Nobody in this range where it's like, man, I'm really missing out. There are some tight ends that we could go there, but we'll just add tight end late and count on Sam Laporta. So we're going to go Darnold next. That gets us to, we got 6 wide receivers, a funky build, really relying on our top 2 guys. One of my very few Sam Darnold lineups, but if I were going to build a Sam Darnold lineup, this is the one that fits the narrative that Sam Darnold throws for 30 TDs again. Not likely, I understand that, but it's not unrealistic outcome. Like, it's something, he threw for 35 last year, so it's definitely something that can happen. He is capable of it. Yep, 35 touchdowns, 4,300 yards. I don't care what scenario you're in, you have to be a good NFL quarterback to put up those numbers. So I'm not going to completely dismiss him, as many people are. So we got a 3 QB build. All the guys are stacked with at least one player. We have one player shared between McCarthy and Darnold. We're not sure where Thielen's going yet. Let's see. Q. Looks like we lost some guys. We did. Tesla went pretty early. I was really hoping to get him and add to Goff. But that's okay. We got the main guys for the Lions. He would have just been a nice addition. We're definitely intrigued in adding Naylor. Get Jig, Likely, Otten, Mason Taylor. Oops, not Woody Marks. Mason Taylor we want. Take Diami Brown. Darius Slayton's interesting. Take Gesicki. Not Troy Plankton. Although we could do a mini stack with, we'll go ahead and click him, mini stack with Marvin Mims there. Harold Fannin would be at the bottom here. So more than likely, we're going to go 2 tight ends and 1 more wide receiver. If I got likely, I might just go 2 more wide receivers and just go 2 tight end build. So most of the time, I'm going to go 3 tight end unless I go elite tight end. Like I said, our boy Laporta is like the edge of a elite tight end build. Like we didn't pick him in elite tight end range. We picked him, it looks like in the 6th round. But we can still tight end elite light. Likely he's gone. Taj Brooks just went. Oh, no, he didn't. We're good, actually. But I don't want Brooks in this lineup because I'm rooting on for Chase Brown to be healthy all year and to be a stud. Again, where this is a robust running back room. Haven't built a ton of these, but I like how this one fell. So really building around a few teams here. So go Mason Taylor. I think I'm going to move Jalen Naylor up. Mason Taylor, rookie tight end, looks like he's going to be number 2 in receiving targets this year behind Garrett Wilson. I don't think they're going to have an explosive offense, but, when we can get a tight end in round 16 that is likely to be number 2 in targets on a team, I'm open to that for sure. I want to go ahead and lock up Naylor to get another stack and another game correlation against the Lions. We might have 2 Vikings, 2 pass catchers already. We might have 1, depending on what happens with the Thielen deal. Either way, I like how that adds to our stack, giving us 3 pass catchers for our quarterback or 2. And then we would have at least 2 for every single one of our quarterbacks. So that is what I like to see, because if our quarterback goes off in the playoffs, which is one of the key elements of having a successful playoff run, then we're likely to have players come along with that quarterback and have big weeks. That's why we are stacking. That's why we are pursuing that playoff upside. We're betting that these guys are going to be top 5 QBs at least one of the weeks in the playoffs. And if they do, they're going to have the players on our team, their teammates are going to have big weeks as well, giving us a really good chance of advancing in the playoffs. So we got one last pick here. We can go any position besides quarterback. I've leaned towards going wide receiver or tight end just because our running back room feels so solid with 3 studs, 3 guys that all have really good possibility of being top 12. Gibbs has a good possibility of being RB1. So yeah, we're not going to need a lot here. We have 2 premium handcuffs. So I don't feel like if our team is good, that means that these guys stayed healthy. So I don't really want to pursue another running back when it's unlikely we would need them. So I'm going to probably do another dart throw at wide receiver because our wide receiver room is a little weaker than I normally build. Tight end I feel okay with those 2 guys. I think one of those 2 guys will be top 10 most weeks, and that's really all we need at tight end. Laporta can have some boom games as well. So pick 18 coming up here. Our last guy, Fannin, just went that we had in there. I don't mind any of these names here. Pierce, McMillan, Hopkins. I'd honestly probably go Hopkins, then Mitchell. don't have any correlation with Hopkins. It would just be random. Really no correlation with any of our guys with these last three. Actually, the more I think about it, Jalen McMillan is starting the year on the IR, obviously. But in Week 17 and their playoff run, they play the Dolphins in Week 17. If he's healthy by then, I think there's a good chance that Godwin's not the same player. And it's a chance that that last game is a shootout. The secondary for Miami should be trash. So I think there's just a good chance that he might be that random guy you need in Week 17 that goes off. So I'll take the shot on that. Hopkins also could be, but I just feel like McMillan's more likely with that matchup that they have in Week 17. Interesting build, not a combination I would normally have, with 3, 5, 8, 2, 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 8 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. So really we're going to be playing a running back on our flex most weeks. So we have 8 guys to try to fill 3 spots and then 2 guys to fill 1 spot at tight end. But like our correlation amongst all of our quarterbacks. And we have 2 really nice game stacks here. We got the Vikings versus the Lions, and then we have the Seahawks versus the Panthers in Week 17. We got multiple pieces from that game. So, yeah, like how that fell. There it is. There's the last Best Ball Mania draft of the year. It's been a fun best ball season. Looking forward to a successful year. I'll give updates throughout the year on how our progress is. But, yeah, maxed out both of the big tournaments on DraftKings and Underdog. Just ready to cash that $2 million check. Maybe twice. Maybe we'll win both of them. All right, my friends, smash that subscribe button. Leave questions in the comments, and I'll get back to you. You can also email me questions at millymakermaniac@gmail.com. Appreciate all your support, and good luck this season. Goodbye, my friends.